Welcome back, all you uncensored souls. This is Uncensored Solely. If you guys are coming in from the pilot episode, I want to say thank you for joining me on my very first episode. I'm so excited. I honestly still can't believe that I'm here doing this, talking to myself and my phone, and maybe a select few of you who've made the courageous adventure to start this journey with me. But with that said, I have put so much pressure on myself this last week, thinking about all the different first episodes and what that means for me, and like, oh my gosh, if it's not perfect, it's gonna be a disaster, and then this will take me nowhere, but also who cares? So that's just been circulating in my head over and over again. And I feel like I've just been starting over and over and over again. And it's draining. And I'm worried about, not only what I feel about that, but what other people are going to perceive me as if I can't just like find something that works and run with it. And I think that's a huge problem, not only for myself, just with sometimes this podcast, although I've finally come to the conclusion that I have like a good idea of where I want to take this, and episodes that I want to talk about. But in life in general, right, like if we start something and it doesn't go according to plan, we're left with this like looming and just dooming dark cloud over us that has us saying, well, what if I start over? Does that make me a failure? Does that make me just, not worthy? Am I struggling to find what I'm truly supposed to do in this world? Who am I? Like, you get into these ruts, these mental ruts, where we're just second guessing ourselves. And so I feel, with having those struggles in my life as of late, whether it comes to this podcast or this big move I just made cross country, for example. I just moved, for those of you guys who don't know, from Illinois to California less than a month ago. And talk about starting over. Talk about starting over. It ain't cheap to exist in this world, let alone California. So we're going to dive into that, guys. We're going to dive into starting over and what that means, how that makes us feel, and how to deal with it. So the first thing I want to talk about in here is a couple of ways and times in my life, and holy fuck has been a countless amount of times that I've started over. But just to kind of show you guys a glimpse of things that I've gone through, and maybe these will sound familiar, maybe them are things that you've been afraid of trying, but ultimately I guys want you to see it's cool. It's actually really fucking cool to try a bunch of new stuff in life and have it fail, or have it, turn into something amazing. Even if at the end of that road, we just start fresh and do something new. It's so when I was in high school, I kind of had this feeling probably about junior or senior year that like I had all these amazing ideas and images in my head of who I was and who I wanted to be, as I think we all do, hey, I really took interest in sports, so all of us think we're going to be the next, LeBron James or Jenny Finch. And then that doesn't pan out for whatever reason, or maybe we go a couple years in college and we don't go pro, whatever. But for me personally, I thought I was going to be an actress. Like, that in my heart was who I was meant to be. I did speech team, which is a form of competitive acting for those of you who didn't have it at your school. I did that from 5th grade all the way to the end of high school. I was awarded a full ride scholarship to college for acting. And then when I got into my first semester of college, I quickly realized how out of my realm I was. And I was just, it was the very first time that I think I'd ever felt like a little fish, and I won't even say in a big pond because that doesn't even begin to compare. I felt like a minnow in the fucking Pacific Ocean. Like sharks everywhere, like great whites, beluga whales, everything. And I was just this little tiny guppy attempting to make it through the day. I mean, the amount of talent that I saw out there, it not only blew me away, it diminished any bit of self-confidence that I had. And so I had to really think about it. I had to sit down and I had to, first of all, I went home just in tears beside myself the first time that I had my acting competition that weekend because of just how truly amazing everybody was. I went home and I remember crying to my boyfriend at the time and saying, I'm not good. And there's no way I will be able to do this. One thing that really stuck with me that they did tell me at this time was, so are you saying you suck and you're going to give up? Or are you saying you're not good enough right now and you don't know if you want to try to be as good as the rest of these people, if not better? And I was like, well, damn. You put it like that. I chewed on that for a little while, and it was a tough pill to swallow. And ultimately, I ended up not sticking with acting. But what did happen, as I closed that chapter of my life, as I closed that dream and that goal that I thought I'd been working since the 5th grade for, right? So the better half of my life. A few months later, my boyfriend and I broke up. But I had gotten a new apartment all on my own, and it burnt down. I lost my cat that was with me at the time. I lost pictures of my dad who had passed away years before, so they were irreplaceable because at the time, we just barely had iPhones, I think. So like the idea of like having a bunch of pictures on your phone and saving them to the cloud and all of that just wasn't a thing. So just lost all of that. And then just, things that I, of my own, just clothes, whatever, gone. And when I was at my lowest thinking, damn, I'm not going to be an actress. And I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Now, all of my closest and most, dearest belongings and possessions are gone in a single afternoon during a fire. What the fuck am I doing with my life? I talk about starting over, right? From ground zero. So I didn't really know what to do. And on top of that day I went and randomly had a chicken nugget I never have chicken nuggets from Culver's, and I got food poisoning. So house burnt down, career was in the toilet before it even began, and a dirty chicken nugget from Culver's gave me food poisoning. So boom, thank you, universe. And after that, I went to the fire department and I thanked them. I think it was like a day or two later. Hey, appreciate you trying, doing what you could, right? And they're like, yeah, no problem. We're so sorry to hear about your loss. They gave me a tour of the fire department and something clicked. A whole new love and passion came over me. And next thing I knew, boom, 10 years in the fire service. Just like that. I had a wonderful career up until about a year and a half ago, and I just decided that structure firefighting, it wasn't for me anymore. It was a chapter closed. Now, I'm not saying, you guys, that your life has to go up in smokes and flames, quite literally or just even figuratively speaking, because I hope none of that ever happens to you guys. But what I am saying is that even though we might find ourselves in the worst predicaments that we have, whether that be in a long while or our whole while, good can come from it. And it is so hard. It is so hard to be in that situation and seriously try to find the silver lining, right? That silver lining, it'd be thin as fuck sometimes. Sometimes I'd be like, all right, searching through all of this trash, all this garbage and BS that the world is putting me through, and I'm like, silver lining's in there somewhere. Okay, if you could present yourself to me, that would be great because I am struggling. But it's there, guys. It is there. And it can be found. So my first lesson to you is just keep pushing forward. Just keep trying, because we don't know what's out there. Even when you've built yourself up for this, career or lifestyle that you think that you need to be having or you want so desperately, always push for your dreams, always push for your goals. But also look for the signs, right? Like I could have easily turned from that fire department, been like, man, that is so cool, but I'm still going to be an actress. I could have, who knows? I could have been on a TV show right now. I could be, instead of having this little tiny starter podcast, I could be hosting my own show. Who knows? But that was a good calling for me, and I am very happy, very blessed to have found it. Now, I had that career for a long time. And now here I am, 30 going on 31 in just a few weeks. And just about a year and some change ago, I decided that the fire service wasn't for me anymore. And I knew that for a little while. I just wasn't exactly sure where my life was supposed to be right afterwards. And talk about horrifying. So for any of you guys who've had a career, or, you know, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a career, right? Like, I don't want this to be a career-focused episode. So I'm going to try not to say career as much. If you just had like a journey or a path that you were walking in life for a long time, and it became a consistent, just a very consistent part of your life. And then all of a sudden that consistency was gone for whatever reason, it can be really hard. You can almost lose, who you are, your identity, really. And that's why, identity crises are real, dude. Like, people be throwing that stuff out there and saying, like, oh, I'm having an identity crisis. And it's like, all right, but have you actually ever had one? It's horrifying. When we wake up one day, years after we've been doing the same shit over and over again, like a damn record player going around and around and around and around and playing the same song over and over again. And then one day that record breaks and you don't have it to put on anymore. And you're just that little thing on the record player, and starts going and scratching. Trying to play something new, but you have no idea what to play because you've been playing the same record for 10 years. Yeah, that was me with the fire service. And again, kind of circling back to that pilot that I had just before this, it can be so hard when we've portrayed ourselves online or to people in general, or it's just who we are, and that's who people identify us as well too. And then all of a sudden we change courses. It's not just us that has to get on board with it. We have to share that with other people, right? And it's not that people need to be on board with our change, because fuck what other people want for us. This is my life. I get this life. I make it what I want it to be. But we do have to share it with everybody at some point, right? And so getting their criticism and getting their input on our lives, it can be just as difficult to deal with other people when we make these changes, even more so than it is to, come to that realization of who we are internally. So to kind of keep going with my story here, I wasn't entirely sure who I was going to be next, but I knew I needed to get out and kind of discover and explore that. So this is my next bit for you guys. Whenever you are starting over, people will always tell you this, or maybe you tell it to yourself internally. Oh, I'm too old for this. This is out of my comfort zone. Or we have this fear of judgment or fear of wasting time figuring out who we are. Scratch it. Scratch all of it. I don't care if you're, 17 years old, heading into college, and you've up until now thought that you were going to go and be an actress. And now all of a sudden you want to be a welder. And that doesn't make sense for people. Maybe it doesn't even make sense for you. Go do it. And then maybe you go through college, or maybe you just go through a chunk of your adulthood. And then all of a sudden you're in your late 20s and you have this realization that, hey, I wasn't meant to do this. I think I want to do that. Go do it. Go do it. There is no timeline in your life that says, oh, this is when you can stop having goals and dreams and aspirations. Sorry, you got to pack that up and you're done with that for this lifetime. Hell no. Hell no. Go do it whenever you want. And so that's what I did. I knew I needed a year to kind of like invest in me, be selfish for me, do what I wanted. So one of my goals that I've always had in my life was, I thought it would be cool. so cool. And I downplayed that so much. I thought it would be literally the shit if I went out and I bought an old ass van and I renovated it, and me and Kona, my dog, just traveled the country in it for however long. Whatever. No bills, just gas, my insurance, and whatever food we needed while we were going wherever we wanted to. And that's what I did. I wasn't exactly in a good place at that time. I just gotten out of a pretty bad relationship. Again, starting completely from scratch. I was living in a state with her at the time, my ex. And then when we split, I moved back to another state that I had already been in before, because it was where I was comfortable, had friends, familiar places, faces, etc. Yeah, and so I was like, I need money. I don't know what to do because I'm not a firefighter anymore. And somehow, some way, I ended up being a door-to-door salesman for a solar company. Yeah. But turns out I'm pretty freaking good at selling some solar. So that's what your girl did. And I earned enough money eventually to get my van, renovated it, and boom, another adventure. And boy, oh boy, was that scary. Yeah, but you know what? One of the things I had that I dealt with a lot was a lot of people saying like, oh, like that's such a young person thing. That's like something you do when you're like taking a sabbatical from college, or what do they call it? A gap year. And it's like, all right, but I'm doing it now. Yeah, I'm almost 30, but I'm doing it now. Who cares? Okay, so don't let people tell you that you're too old for something, or that, yeah, like that chapter of your life has come and gone and you missed it. Just not a thing. Now, as far as getting back on starting over, I did that for over a year, and it was great, right? But it was also not something that like I could just physically or financially afford to keep up with. Yeah, I didn't have any bills, and you guys are probably like, oh my god, well, you didn't pay anything, how could you not afford it? Mentally, I guess I'm saying I could not afford it because I was sleeping in a van with my Great Pyrenees dog who just sheds everywhere. I was also in Arizona, so like I'd have to make sure that I would be in certain parts of the state where it wasn't super hot, or yeah, every night making sure like, oh, can I park here without getting like a knock on my door? Is this a safe neighborhood? Like there's so many things that go into it, but we can say that for another episode. Anyways, I realized it was time for me to get back, and I was also ready to get back into working full time, and I'd like to have a house again. So starting over once more, I went to my family's in Illinois, and that was another big pill for me to swallow. I hadn't been living at home since I graduated high school, and at this point it'd been about like 12 years. So going back home felt degrading. I felt like a failure. So I was like, I'm 30 years old. I'm going to go live at mom's house. What is wrong with me? My little brother was just getting married. Step kid. So he was now a dad. And here I am coming back home because I was done with van life and me and my dog needed a place to crash. But I went through it with a purpose. I had a plan, and that is my next thing I'd like to, give you guys advice on. Starting over isn't a bad thing. But what I will say is you can always find comfort in the fact that you can have a plan. And you might be saying, oh, well, Soli, I didn't plan for my, fiance and I to split because they cheated, and now my life just came crumbling down, and I also have kids and, this and that. And it's like, cool, I get it. Trust me, been there, done that. I mean, minus the kids. But I've been in the situations where, like, the sky felt like it was falling on your beautiful little head, and you had no idea where to go to from here. But you can still have a plan. You can still have a plan. Hey, my life turned into a shit show overnight, but I want to have a place of my own in 3 months. All right, cool. What place do you want? Well, I want this place. Okay, how much is it going to cost? It's going to cost me $2,000 between the, deposit, the application cost, the initial move-in. That's never going to happen, by the way, because the cost of living is outrageous. But that's how you can have a plan. And you have small goals to work towards it. And those are the things that you have to feed off of. And then also, I want you guys to tell yourself, even if you started off in a good place, hey, I want to take this new journey. Cool. Still make a plan. Don't just have a goal. Don't just have a dream. Have a plan so you can actually meet those goals and dreams and make them into a reality, right? We start over with a purpose, okay? That's when it gets scary, when we start over without a purpose, right? Because then we're just kind of free falling through the world and we're like, I'm starting over, but I don't know where I'll land. I don't know what will happen. And we can't always have control over that. We don't have control over these things, right? Hey, but we can damn well sure be as prepared as we can be for them. So when I went back home, I was like, I really miss the medical side that I had for firefighting. I just don't miss firefighting. All right, cool. I'll go work in a hospital. Well, I don't have the patience to sit through X amount of years of schooling to become a doctor. I don't know if I'm ready for nursing, but I do know I want to see if the hospital is even for me. All right, I'll go get my CNA. Took an 8-week course, planned out exactly when that course was going to be done. I planned out exactly how long I was going to give myself until I had a job at a hospital so I could make sure this is right for me. And then as soon as I knew this was right for me, I was going to save X amount of dollars, and then I was going to move back to a warmer, nicer state, which I had originally planned was going to be Arizona. And lo and behold, did I know that I was going to meet an amazing guy, right, who just so happened to live in California. So, I don't know. Call it manifestation, call it just fucking awesome stellar luck, but here I am. But I had a plan, right? So I had a plan and I saw it through. And I guess that would be my biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this. Starting over, it can be scary as fuck. But we can all be in control. We don't have to view it as a terrible thing. It doesn't matter how young, how old, how many times you've done it before. I mean, as you guys have seen, I've done it at least 3 times that I've shared with you now. Trust me, there's been a lot more other times. But it's all good, right? That's what I'm getting at. Starting over, it can be an amazing thing. It truly can. I absolutely believe it. And I mean, going forward, as long as you've got a plan, as long as you can, give yourself a little bit of grace, maybe you're starting over because things didn't work out the first time with the plan that you originally had, that's fine. We are imperfect people. We are imperfect people. I hate to say it. I sound so Midwestern white. You gotta roll with the punches. But you really do. You really gotta roll with them. Last thing that I want to leave you guys with, and I think that, honestly, this is probably the most important if you ask me. Starting over, right? As horrifying and as scary as it can be, there is so much power that you get every time you start over. You have the power of internal strength. You know that, hey, if this ever happens again, I can do it. I've done it before. I'll do it again. I ain't scared of a little change. I ain't scared of starting over because I've already done it once. Was it easy? Maybe harder for some people, maybe even harder for some, but you did it. You can do it. So that isn't horrifying for you. That doesn't cripple you the way that it does other people, right? You're stronger for having done this. So pat yourself on the back for that next time that happens, right? No matter how big or little this situation is. And another thing that I want you guys to take from this. Don't wait for the day. If it's a new start over, if it's a new change that you want, don't wait for the day for you to feel 100% ready. It's not going to happen. It's just not. It's absolutely not going to happen. No way, no fucking how. If you sit around and wait for the day that you feel absolutely ready for taking this next leap in a career, starting over by moving to a new place, no matter how far or close away it is from where you're currently at, it's just not going to happen. You're going to be sitting around waiting the miracle. That's what you're going to be waiting for, is a miracle. Just get out there, do it, prepare as best you can. Know that it's going to be a little rocky in the start. Everything always is. But it'll get better. And then when you get to the end and you see it through, you're going to get the result that you were looking for, or you're going to build your strength, realize maybe it wasn't the right path for you, but you saw it through, right? You gave it a try. I think that's one thing people also forget is hey, I might be starting over, but I'm trying something that I wanted to, and I'd love to make it to the end of my life knowing, like, hey, I did all these things that made me happy. Maybe they didn't, make me successful in this area the way that I thought they would. Maybe they didn't take me to this career path that I thought that they would. But I damn well refuse to be on my deathbed looking back and saying, man, I wish I would have tried that. I wish I would have gone there. I wish I would have seen this through. I'm not dying with regrets. And I think that's something that you should really think about too. And then healing. This is the last thing I want to leave you guys with. When we are starting over, it is not something that you should take lightly. What did you learn from this experience? How's it going to make you better? What are areas that you could improve on as a person, as a friend, as a partner, as a sibling, as a child, right? Like, what are areas of your life personally that you could grow from? What did you learn from other people too? Starting over sometimes, I mean, whether it's been in my travels or my career, relationships, when I've started over, I'm like, what did I learn in the past that I can bring to the table now to make me a better person, right? Because we should always be growing. Always should be growing. So the last thing that I want to leave you guys with is starting over. It can be so freaking incredibly scary. I'm right there with you. I'm doing it right now with this big move that I had. And I'm kind of doing it again with this podcast. It's horrifying, right? But I would say more than anything, just keep pushing forward. Keep striving for a better you. Striving for things that make you happy. Keep your head up high. Look for the silver lining. Look for ways to improve for the next go around. And don't ever let anybody tell you that you're too old to start over. Or you're too young to try something either, for that matter. For anybody who might be a little bit younger and thinking, like, well, I'm not too old for that yet. Well, okay. You're also not too young. You're not too young to try something new either, okay? As long as it's safe, right? I don't want to be promoting you guys to be out there, like, trying anything risky. But Soli said I could do it. I'm not too young. That's not what I'm saying here. Whether you're 18, 25, 40, 60, doesn't matter, right? As long as you are alive and you are healthy and you are taking care of yourself mentally, physically, your story can still be written. It can be scratched up, a couple pages ripped out, and you start all over again. But just give it a go, all right? And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And that, you guys, is my uncensored, unfiltered, keeping it real with you on starting over. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I will see you in the next episode. But until then, keep it real and keep it uncensored.